On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Soul Food, which came out in 1997. And this is what I call a classic. As you see, I still have the tape and it is, not going anywhere. I still have the sticker from Blockbuster on it that says, please remember to rewind. It really sucked when you used to rent a tape and people forgot to rewind it. So you would literally press play and it would be in the middle of the movie or even at the end. The reason they used to ask you to rewind the movie was because you didn't want any spoilers happening. So I still got the tape. Soul Food. It is such a classic. Now let's get into Teri. Even decades later, people talk about Teri and how she was a stuck-up person who didn't really listen to anybody's needs or desires when it came to Big Mama and the house. Now we're going to talk about if she actually was the villain or she actually wasn't. And in my opinion, years later, now that I'm an adult, she really wasn't that bad, but she did have bad qualities. And we're going to talk about those qualities, the good, bad, and the ugly. So let's get into it. And starring Mekhi Phifer, starring Nia Long, starring Vanessa Williams, starring Vivica A. Fox. The cast was stacked. Vanessa Williams plays Teri. Nia Long plays Bird. Vivica A. Fox plays Maxine. Gina Rivera plays Faith. Miles plays Michael Beach. Jeffrey D. Sams plays Kenny. Irma P. Hall plays Grandma Joe. Let's start from the beginning with Teri. Teri and Kenny originally actually dated first until Maxine came along and quote unquote stole her man. But we all know you can't really steal a guy. You can only just be present. And if the guy wants you, he's gonna have you.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
And I feel like even after that moment when she caught them two together in that car, the hot steamy car, when the windows were fogged up. Now if it was me, I would have just let it go and be like, clearly he wants her. Like, what are you fighting for? But it turns out that she works in law. So it makes sense. I believe she's an attorney or she works in a law firm. But yeah, Teri has this I'm gonna take what's mine attitude, but when something gets taken from her, she doesn't know how to handle it, including a man. Never fall out over a man. Let's start there. Do not fall out over a man.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And when I look back, I believe Teri actually felt like she missed on what could have been. Teri and Miles don't have children. They're married, but they don't have children. And Teri has, she has a control factor about herself. Now, Miles and Teri, they were not really even meant to be in a relationship, if you really think about it. Miles, granted, he's an attorney, but he wants to be a musician full time. Teri wants to be in control of how the finances goes in the relationship. She has a strong personality. Miles is not really a combative type of husband. He's not a combative person. So the fact that she decided, you know what, you could have been making twice as much as you are by staying an attorney. She was mad because he wanted to quit his job and go full time as a musician. Now, if you're a single person, you don't got to worry about that, right? But he's not, and neither is she. So they couldn't compromise on pretty much how they were going to go about their finances. He decided to go and take it upon himself and take money out of their savings, which she didn't like. So Ahmad is the little boy in the film. He's the one that pretty much is the center of the film. He's the one that got the family together, and he's the one that pretty much picks up all the pieces. Talk about trauma. I can definitely understand being in Ahmad's position, even when I was a kid. So yeah, he shouldn't have been in adults' business as much as he was, but they pretty much left it up for him to be there when everything was going down, So a lot of the adults in the film were incompetent as far as having the children see a lot of adult stuff that should have not been seen, but it happens, they're not bad parents. They're not bad for kids, being around, seeing shit that they don't need to see, but it is what it is. So let's talk about Bird. Bird is played by Nia Long. Teri let Bird open up a shop by investing in her company. And I'm assuming in her mind, probably Teri was like, oh, this might be a good investment. But I believe in hindsight, Bird knew, you know, that she was going to have to pay her back eventually. So yeah, Teri wasn't necessarily a bad person. Like I said, Teri had a strong personality, but she really did mean well under the grand scheme of things. She just didn't know how to go about it, which was another thing. Now, here comes Faith.
Oh, Lord. Again. A fucking again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit. Same old fuck.
Faith is the cousin. Faith is played by, like I said, Gina Rivera, and gorgeous woman, by the way. She comes in, she was living in LA, she was a exotic dancer.
Girl, you have beautiful skin. Thank you so much. And you are shaped up so pretty.
And I guess a lot of people didn't really care about her background, but you know, we always have a family member that does a little bit of extra activities outside of what we deem to be morally correct. Faith had a sister that passed away, and Big Mama took her in, and you know, she raised her as her own. She took her in as her own, and I feel like Teri and them had a problem with that, and who cares? Big Mama received the news that she got diabetes and she had to get her leg amputated, but unfortunately she said no because she just didn't want to, which is her choice, and she ended up passing away. And that part was actually really, really sad because Ahmad was there at the hospital when she was sick, and she told him pretty much to keep the family together. And he was updating her on everyone being just drama, and pretty much he was honest about the fact that the family was not doing well. So Teri was a beneficiary, and she decided to sell the house. And everybody was not down for that. They were like, hell no, we're not doing that. We're not selling her house. And you better find a different way. Even though she was the only one that was upkeeping the house, it would be different if the family was contributing, whether it was a light bill or keeping up with the lawn, you know, the utilities and all the fixings around the house and stuff like that. But Teri was the one put in charge, and she said it's best if we sell it. Y'all can have a cut, you can have a cut, but they wanted to keep the family tradition going, which I also get. But if you're not contributing to keeping that tradition going, how do you then turn around and tell the beneficiary who Big Mama picked? Clearly, Big Mama thought she was the one that was going to be in charge of everything because she was the most level-headed one out of the family. And that's another thing. When you have one person that basically holds the family together based upon like the real decision making, everybody else is playing in the background all of a sudden wants to have a say-so and the real decision making. Teri had to be the person that was like, oh yeah, no, she left me in charge and I'm making the decision. If you guys aren't going to contribute to keep the house, I don't know how y'all feel like y'all have a say-so. Just because you want to have a Sunday dinner when the family's already falling apart. Faith done lost the faith in the house. The fact that the movie is named Soul Food, and that's the main reason why Big Mama is no longer alive. All that sodium, them black eyed peas, that fried chicken, that fried catfish, all that stuff is good, but to have it every Sunday, I'm like, there's no way y'all eating this shit every Sunday. To me, that would change my lifestyle around. And as you get older, you have to be very cautious of the food that you intake. It just is what it is. Stop using Lorry's and salt and pepper at the same time. Stop using seasoned salt for everything that you eat and intake. It's okay to enjoy the flavor of the actual food. She had a brother, Uncle Pete, who was battling memory loss of some sort. I don't know if it was dementia, but he, God, I don't want to tear up. Oh my God. He was left, you know, and He was the one that stored all of that money in his television set. So Faith and Miles, let me get to that. Faith and Miles connected because both of them were relating to each other based upon the fact that they are artists. And Miles knew, he was like, okay, she's great looking. She has a tight body. When Faith asked him to play the piano for her audition because she didn't have anyone to do it for her, he seen the light that she probably never seen, in a man looking at her and admiring her ability to perform the way that she did. Remember, she was an exotic dancer before. So I feel like she's seen Miles being this savior of some sort. Family therapy was very necessary for this film. It was a perfect recipe for a disaster. Teri was not giving her husband the attention that he needed or deserved, or even the respect, if I can be quite honest. Teri did not respect her husband. And he stopped liking her because of it. He stopped liking her because he realized she does not see me for who I am. And Faith, on the other hand, sees me for my full potential, and she cares, and she wants me to do my music business, and Teri doesn't. And for Faith to have the perspective of, well, he sees my full capability of a performer and a dancer, and the family doesn't. They just look at me as a hoe. And she didn't prove herself right when she actually slept, with Miles on the rooftop. Not to be too explicit, but you could tell when they were doing the thing, that it was like a relief. It wasn't really, I'm connecting with you. This is going to be the end all be all for us. We're going to ride off into the sunset. No, what they did was clearly a lack of judgment, and built up confusion of them relating to each other, and they made it into an intimate setting, which is wrong, obviously. When Teri and Ahmad walked up them steps onto the rooftop and seen what they were doing, I'm glad that she didn't let Ahmad see that, so he doesn't have the image burnt into his brain of his uncle doing what he did with his older cousin. And that really hurt Teri. Like, Teri really felt some type of way about that. And how could she not? Like, anybody would feel some type of way about seeing their husband screwing their cousin, who they took in to help out, even though she was already skeptical about Faith.
Clap if you've ever wanted to kill somebody.
Also, when Miles took money out of their savings account, he did not inform Teri about it, so she rightfully was able to be upset about it. Like, I would be pissed too. Like, that's our savings account, and you took out so much money. She said you only got about $31,000 in that account that you can touch. Yeah, he was wrong for that. And Teri was not a bad person for letting him know, like, you cannot do that. But also, as much of a control freak that Teri is, I'm surprised that she even let Faith stay at her house around her husband as an exotic dancer. That alone should have told you that Teri was not this, like, vindictive person that people were trying to make her out to be. She tried her best based upon her own ego, her financial status, and where she stands in the family. And, unfortunately, I feel like she wanted to be like Big Mama by being the center of the family and controlling the dynamics of everything, but she overstepped her boundaries, especially when she got her cousins to beat up Bird's baby daddy. When Teri had her cousins go up there to the bar where Mekhi Phifer's character was playing and handle the business, is when I was like, oh, y'all really messed up. got really messed up. Don't get your cousin. She was like, I'm going to get my cousins, my street cousins, to go over there and bust them upside the head with a bottle, and it's going to be done.
What's going on? Y'all are going to jail. Period.
Girl, you still have to deal with the aftermath of Bird being mad at you for basically having her boyfriend, who ended up being her baby daddy in the end, because she ended up being pregnant. She found out she was pregnant. You done made these guys go to the bar and bust him upside the head with a bottle. He ended up getting locked up because he pulled a gun out on her cousins, and she eventually realized it was not a good idea over dinner towards the end. And she was still a little bit stubborn about it, but it is what it is. She should have never done that. Like, do not send your cousins on your cousin baby daddy, because they're going to come back to you. It's still too close in proximity. He got in her face, and when he found out that she hooked him up with a job without telling him, Bird basically lied to her baby daddy. Bird did not tell him that, yeah, my ex hooked you up. I spoke to my ex and I got him to get you this job. She didn't communicate either. So again, Teri had to clean up Bird's mess by her not telling him that, oh yeah, you got this job because I was talking to an ex of mine who still wants me, by the way, and still stopping at my shop as if he don't know that I'm with you. Teri was a cleanup woman, and a lot of people don't want to admit that, but she was. She cleaned up a lot of the mess of other adults that could not manage their own relationships and situations. I can see myself in Teri a little bit, because there's a way that you have to be direct and you have to ignore emotions when you need to actually get things done. People having emotions over logic sometimes get in the way, and she was like, I don't got time for that. We gotta do something. We have a house. Uncle Pete's living in it. I guess she wanted to put him in a home. I don't know who's going to take care of him. And I didn't hear anyone saying that they were going to take care of Uncle Pete. I didn't hear anyone in the family saying, oh yeah, Uncle Pete can live with us. And because we all know they needed the money. They needed the money. But they wanted to keep a tradition going, knowing darn well that the tradition itself was based on a lot of toxicity. It really was. And I noticed that being a trend in a lot of families in the Black community is like, we want to keep traditions going, but we never look at the tradition itself. Everybody has their own problems, which is not a bad thing. Everybody has their own shit going on. And the intersectionality of it all, the intersectionality of everyone coming together and realizing, you know what? It is what it is. All right. I want to tell you, Teri, when she was like, Faith done fuck the family, and she came out with that knife. She's really going to poke her up a few times. I believe it. On her cousin's 11th anniversary, we all know someone that has to step in and do what's right and not what's favorable. But they end up keeping the house, and they're going to continue their Sunday tradition of eating soul food. Delicious soul food, might I add. I love soul food. I do. But I can't eat it all the time. I eat it all. I eat hog mogs. I used to eat hog mogs, chitlins, pig's feet, pig ears, chicken gizzards, chicken hearts, fried chicken gizzards, all that stuff. And I still do, but not all the time. Teri was not wrong for stepping in and selling the house, or potentially trying to sell the house, when she's seen how messed up the dynamic of the family was, because who's going to upkeep the house? Again, everybody was relying on her to upkeep the house. Teri was done with everybody. She was like, I don't need this. I'm struggling with my husband and his art career that he wants to take off all of a sudden and leave me to finance the marriage and take care of the bills while he goes and pursue his dreams, which is a tough spot to be in, because honestly, as someone that's a filmmaker and videographer and cinematographer, do not settle. And when I mean settle, I mean even for people that are making money. Even for people that are making more money than you. Because if your passion outlies your income, and you date someone with a high income, whether they're a woman or not, or a man, you have to understand that eventually they're not going to be tolerable to your shortcomings in the name of pursuing your arts and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, in that type of like career setting in law or being a doctor, they don't look at art as a full-time sustainable income. You're talking about having a law degree and then turn around to being a person with a art association degree. Yeah, it's going to change a lot. And if you can't afford to do that transition on your own accord, then yeah, your partner's going to have a problem with that, because the bills don't care that you want to make music at the jazz club, make beats. And the fact that Teri didn't support him by showing up to his shows and performances, yeah, that's like really whack. Like, why would you not support your husband regardless of his art creation by not seeing what he's actually creating? I mean, his music was good, you know, and they just were not compatible. She needed someone that was not in the arts, I guess. Teri just needed somebody that was just not in the arts. And she also needed to step away from taking charge, because that's how the whole family looked at her. They looked at her as if she was a savior because she had a savior complex. Do not act surprised when people start treating you the way that you show up. If you want to be the person that's in charge and taking lead and all that other stuff, understand that people are going to be pissed at you when they don't, you know, like your choices of how you're handling things, right? That's leadership. You have to be comfortable with that. And she wasn't. She didn't like being disliked. She didn't like not having people kiss her ass. And they weren't. Her family was like, we're not kissing your ass just because you pay a few bills around here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Be nice to your family.